Doris Kearns Goodwin, The Bully Pulpit, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and the Golden Age of Journalism. Dive into the captivating world of power, friendship, and journalism during the early 20th century as we explore the historical account of the alliance between two U.S. presidents, Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft, and the influential journalists of the Progressive Era. The Bully Pulpit, by Doris Kearns Goodwin, details the lives and political careers of Roosevelt and Taft while shedding light on the vital role journalists played in shaping public opinion and policy. This riveting summary offers an insightful glimpse into Roosevelt's battle against corruption, his collaboration with the press, and the unseen complexities of his fraught relationship with Taft.
Roosevelt's ethical framework. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, faced the challenge of poorly regulated corporations that were exploiting people after the Industrial Revolution. Roosevelt fought against corruption and proposed an ethical framework for the American economy. He broke trusts apart and regulated food and drugs, labor rights, and preserved natural resources. Congress passed the Meat Inspection Act and the Pure Food and Drug Act to protect consumers from contaminated products. Roosevelt sought to regulate relationships between consumers, workers, and businesses, setting fair conditions. His initiatives aimed to make American industries ethical and protect the people's interests. The early life of Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt, a man who did not go from rags to riches, was born into a well-connected family. His father, a wealthy glass merchant, ensured his children had the best education and opportunities, including lessons with a professional taxidermist to nurture Roosevelt's love of natural history. However, he was a sickly child who suffered from severe attacks of asthma and was frequently confined to bed. His father advised him to begin body training, and Roosevelt worked hard to build his strength. As a young adult, Roosevelt faced many challenges, including the deaths of his father, wife, and mother. Despite all these obstacles, Roosevelt persevered and went on to become a respected politician and leader. The rise of a fighter against corruption. After dropping out of law school, a young Roosevelt entered state politics where he quickly gained respect by exposing corruption between railroad tycoon Jay Gould and a New York Supreme Court justice. He was re-elected and appointed to prestigious posts where he continued to fight corruption, including the spoils system. Roosevelt was elected president of the board of the New York City Police Commission in 1895, where he relentlessly exposed corrupt officers and their transgressions. Roosevelt's political journey. As governor of New York, Theodore Roosevelt battled against corruption and enacted laws to support workers and preserve the environment. However, he faced opposition from the Republican Party when he sought to tax highly lucrative franchises granted to corporations. Nominated as vice president in 1900 as an attempt to control him, Roosevelt eventually became the 26th President of the United States after President McKinley's assassination. He would later win the next election by the largest majority in the country's history. Empathy and human evolution. Empathy played a vital role in human evolution by developing as a means of caring for kin and promoting reciprocal and altruistic relationships. Empathy can be extended beyond familial boundaries by recognizing similarities and learning about others' perspectives. However, it can also lead to unfairness. Empathy is the first better angel of our nature that decreases our tendency towards violence. But why did we evolve into empathic beings? Initially, empathy developed to encourage people to care for their kin, especially their children. Moreover, empathy helps us to develop reciprocal and altruistic relationships with non-relatives, allowing us to engage in mutually beneficial favors, such as trading resources. Studies show that empathy can be extended beyond familial boundaries as well. Cultivating empathy is possible by drawing attention to the similarities between different groups of people and learning more about others. Apart from this, it has been found that humans tend to act empathically towards people with whom we have things in common. While empathy has many positive effects, it also has a darker side. Empathy can lead to unfairness, as exemplified in a study where subjects were willing to let a fatally ill child skip the line ahead of people in greater need of medical treatment. In conclusion, empathy played a vital role in our evolution by promoting reciprocity and care for kin. While it can be extended beyond familial boundaries, empathy can also be a double-edged sword, leading to unfair results when compassion overrides reason. Roosevelt's fight against trusts. At the turn of the century, trusts dominated major industries, controlling prices and trading conditions. Roosevelt and his progressive peers were determined to challenge this power. Despite opposition from fellow Republicans, Roosevelt was able to reduce the power of the trusts. He emerged victorious in his court case against Northern Securities, earning the nickname Trust Buster. Though conservative judges often dismissed trust cases, Roosevelt pursued legislative change. Public outrage over Standard Oil's unfair practices gave Roosevelt momentum to pass antitrust legislation such as a bill that elevated antitrust cases on court dockets for early resolution. He also established the Bureau of Corporations to investigate corporate practices and maneuvered the opposition to pass its legislation. During his presidency, Roosevelt filed suits against 44 trusts. Roosevelt's collaborative press. Roosevelt's success in implementing progressive reforms was hindered by the corrupt system, where money and bribes influenced the selection and decisions of senators in Congress. However, Roosevelt needed help from the progressive press and the few Republican leaders he had ties with to fight against this corruption. With their support, he was able to gather public support for taxing franchises, despite fierce opposition from the Republican Party's leaders who were backed by companies that threatened to withdraw their support. The eventual passing of the bill demonstrates the vital role of the progressive press in fighting corruption and securing public support for reforms. While Roosevelt may have had some Republican allies, his success can be largely attributed to the collaboration with the press. The legacy of President William Howard Taft. President William Howard Taft was more than just an overweight man who had a falling out with Roosevelt. He had a successful career as a jurist, breaking records and serving as the youngest judge and solicitor general in Ohio. He was appointed as the Supreme Court Chief Justice in 1921, making him the only person to hold both presidential and judicial power. Before his presidency, Taft was an accomplished politician and was even inaugurated as the Philippines' first civilian governor-general. During his tenure in the Philippines, he improved their infrastructure and healthcare facilities, making him highly popular among the Filipino population. Upon his return to the United States, he was appointed as the Secretary of War. Roosevelt and Taft's enduring friendship. In The Bully Pulpit, it is revealed that in 1890, Roosevelt and Taft developed a close friendship in the same neighborhood in Washington, D.C. Despite having different personalities, they bonded over their shared political vision and frequently sought each other's advice on a range of issues. Taft even served as Roosevelt's campaign surrogate and eventually succeeded him as president. Roosevelt supported Taft's presidential campaign, helping him gain public support and editing his speeches. Their friendship endured even after political differences led to a falling out, with the two exchanging over 400 letters throughout their lives. Despite their differences, Roosevelt summed up their friendship by saying of Taft, "One loves him at first sight." Taft's betrayal of Roosevelt's legacy. Taft's presidency showed a stark contrast to his predecessor's policies, raising concerns with many progressives. Despite promising Roosevelt that he would continue his progressive reforms, Taft chose to replace his cabinet with more conservative figures, leading to controversy. Conflict arose over the conservation of public lands, and Taft's lawsuit against J.P. Morgan's United Steel Production further worsened the relationship between the two former friends. Taft and Roosevelt's political differences. This summary discusses the conflicting ideologies between Taft and Roosevelt that led to their political differences. Although Roosevelt supported a progressive agenda, Taft endorsed more conservative policies due to his strong belief in the legal system. Taft's conservation efforts were often misunderstood, as he wanted to enact change through legitimate legislation, rather than breaking laws. In contrast, Roosevelt mobilized the press and public support to push through progressive reforms, causing rifts within the Republican Party. Ultimately, after a bitter election in which Taft was attacked by Roosevelt, the Republican Party lost to the Democrats and Woodrow Wilson became president. Despite their disagreements, the two men reconciled shortly before Roosevelt's death.
In conclusion, the Bully Pulpit uncovers the powerful dynamics at play during the golden age of journalism, unraveling the intricate relationships between Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and the pioneering journalists of their time. The story serves as a testament to Roosevelt's unwavering commitment to tackling corruption and establishing an ethical framework within the American economy. The intricate bond and ultimately, the tragic falling out between Roosevelt and Taft showcased the complexities of politics and human nature. As we bid adieu to this riveting tale, we are left with a deeper understanding of history's ebbs and flows, and the indelible impact of individuals on the course of events.